Okay, we're going to get started here today, and we are going to bust out um, a tie down caddis. This is an old kind of an oldie but a goodie. So we'll start a thread base. We're using a 3906B size 12, and we're just using some 6/0 uni thread. So we're going to go back and start back towards the bend like we normally do. And with this, we're going to be using some deer hair, and this is, can't really read that, but it is the patch. This stuff has been, you can see I'm kind of getting down to the end of it, but this is kind of the color you want, kind of that dark, basically dark deer hair. And this stuff, just grab a little patch of it, and this is, it doesn't have to be stacked or anything, cut off a little patch, but you do need to, when you hold it up, either use a comb, or I like to just do this with my finger. Just pinch it and then just grab and get all that soft stuff out. And then until you have just your patch. And this, you know, it's okay to have a little bit longer tail on this. So we're just going to throw it on just about like there. You know, the tail is probably this one with the tips. It might be almost as long as the hook shank. Do a pinch loop, and then you come down second and third, and each one you tighten up a little right on top of each other. That's about my 4th or 5th wrap. That's kind of the start. Then take this deer hair and you just pull it back. You kind of wrap a little bit behind it just to help get that out of the way. Then what we're going to take is just a real basic, any brown hackle. You don't want a dry fly hackle. This is kind of a nice little soft wet hackle. And it's okay on the length. The length can kind of be, you know, if it goes down below the length of the gap between the shank and the tip, that's okay. It can be a little longer because this stuff's going to lay down. But just tie that in, palmer it, and then use your little anchor. Tie that in. And these things don't have to be perfect. In fact, the one cool thing about this fly is as we grab some peacock here, just grab about five good strands. I guess I got 4 or 5 here, and then on this you want to cut off all the white on the end. You don't want to get any of this. You can see right here, you don't want any of that white in there. So cut off about 5, but like I was saying, this thing is odd. I mean, sometimes the deer hair is the one thing that gets chopped up sometimes by a fish when it's been biting it. But we've had this fly where it's like just been mangled, literally like almost no deer hair left. The thing is just barely hanging on, and it's just catching more and more fish. And this is also a great pattern for the evening. But just do as you saw, you know, I only did like 5 wraps or something like that. You know, leave yourself a little room up front. And again, peacock. I've been using peacock a lot because it is a great material. But then on this, just want to grab your hackle pliers. A lot of times it makes it easier. Grab your hackle, clip it on here, and just do you don't need a ton of wraps here. Maybe just like 3 or 4. You know, there's 2. You can see this is just I'm kind of pinching, then I'm wrapping back, and almost, yeah, it's, you know, because on this one you don't want to make it too thick with hackles. You just want to, just enough to give it what it needs as far as legs or gills or whatever. But you know, you're imitating a caddis, an emerging caddis. So here now I use the 3-finger trick and pull back just to wrap back over. Make sure I have plenty of room. Cut this little guy off here. Then one other thing when you do, because we're going to wrap the shell, basically the wing case over the top, before you do that, you can kind of go over the top and push the hackles to the side. And this one you probably don't want to cut. I mean, actually it's not critical. You can just pull over and just do that. They'll lay down where they be, but a lot of times I'll pull this up and then I'll just kind of go like this and pull those down. Then, see, you get that shell. Then you just kind of make sure you got it all tight. Hold it, and then you go over the top. See, I'm holding it with my right hand over here, this hand. I take the left hand with the thread, and I'm just going to go right over the top. Just kind of do a a fairly loose wrap just to kind of get it there. So again, I'll show you. Come over the top. I'm going to do just like drop it. And then as soon as I drop it, I'm going to switch back to my right hand. Now I got the thread in my right hand. Come back here with my left and hold that case. Just make sure it doesn't go in there. I'm going to put another 1, 2, 3 or 4. Just kind of, and this is where you got to be careful because when you clip it, you don't want to clip it so tight that it comes, sometimes it can kind of come unravel. So I'm just going to go like that. Just clip it so there's still a little bit there. You can see that. And then I'm going to go, I'll wrap another one up back here just to secure it. 2, 3, and then I'm going to come back in front and finish up my head. It can be a little tricky to get your head just right, but again, it's not critical on these. The critical thing is to, see what you have here as far as the other parts. But that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do my whip finish. And again, I think on this one, if you wanted to use a little bit lighter, maybe go with 8/0 thread instead of 6. I think you might have a better shot at reducing the bulk of your head. And sometimes I just go in here and I'll just kind of do this and make sure. But you can get a look at that. You can see how that looks in the water. It's definitely got plenty of legs. I'm just going to come up here and, sometimes if you think you have a little too many, it's okay to cut them off real tight. But this one is about how I like it. You got a little straggler in the back. This guy, I can just pull him off. But that's kind of what we're going for. You got to definitely, when that sits down in the water, it's going to sit down really nicely and kind of fish right below the surface. You can see that one is nice and dark, that peacock. Okay, we'll see you in a little bit for the next fly.